states and directly perceives, directly realizes the deathless states, the deathless states. And simultaneously with the realization of Nibbana, three defilements get cut off right down to the level of the latent tendencies. The defilements that keep beings bound to samsara are called fetters, samyojana. They're called fetters because they keep beings chained to the wheel of birth and death. There are 10 such fetters which are eradicated in different stages by the 4 paths. The first path, the path of stream entry, eradicates the first 3 fetters. That is, the fetter of personality view, the view of a truly existing self which can be identified with the 5 aggregates. The second fetter is doubt, perplexity. And the third is clinging to rules and rituals. And as soon as the mind enters the path of stream entry and sees Nibbana, these 3 fetters are all broken simultaneously at once. Now the moment of the path is immediately followed by a few moments of another type of consciousness, which also experiences Nibbana. This type of consciousness is called fruition. Each path has its corresponding fruition, coming immediately after itself, and the fruit has the same name as the path. Thus the first fruition is called the fruit of stream entry. It's a sequence of a few moments of consciousness which experience or enjoy the results of the path. They experience the bliss and peace of Nibbana right after the defilements have been eradicated by the path. We can understand the relation of the path and the fruit in this way. Suppose there's a man who's bound by chains. Suddenly he exerts all of his energy and he breaks the chains. The moment of breaking the chains, this is like the moment of the path when the fetters are eradicated. But as soon as he breaks the chains, he feels great relief, joy and happiness, a sense of freedom. This moment of happiness, or these moments of happiness, that is like the moments of fruition that follow the path. Now after passing through the path of stream entry, the yogi becomes a stream enterer. He becomes an Aryan, a noble person. He's risen up to a whole new level of being. He's entered the stream of the Dhamma. He's not yet fully liberated, but he's bound for full liberation. He's irreversible. He can never fall away from the goal of reaching full enlightenment and liberation. At the maximum, he will reach final Nibbana in 7 lives, which will be spent in the human world or in the heavenly worlds. He can no longer take rebirth in the 4 states of misery, in the hells among the animals, as an afflicted spirit, or as a titan. His spiritual progress will continue from life to life. And now we're going to cover all the levels of attainment. And so after reaching the stage of stream entry, the yogi wants to progress further to reach the next stage of liberation. He again undertakes the cultivation of insight. He passes through the different levels of insight. When he reaches the highest point, when his faculties mature, he attains the second path, called the path of the once-returner. Now this path does not actually eradicate any fetters completely, but it weakens 2 fetters, the fetter of sense desire and the fetter of ill will. Then the yogi experiences the corresponding fruition and comes back to normal consciousness as a once-returner. This means he will one more time to the human world. Wishing to go further, he again develops insight. He reaches the highest level of insight and attains the 3rd path, the path of the non-returner. This path eradicates the 2 fetters that were previously weakened, the fetter of sensual desire and the fetter of ill will. The yogi passes through the fruit, and he emerges a non-returner, an anagami. This means he will never again return to the human world or to any heavenly world in the sense sphere. If he doesn't reach full deliverance in this life, he will take rebirth in a special heavenly plane called the pure abodes, and there he will reach final deliverance. But now the yogi wants to reach the final goal in this life, and so he begins to develop insight. He goes up the ladder of insight realization, and at the peak he reaches the fourth path, the path of arhatship. With this path he eradicates the 5 remaining fetters. That is, the desire for existence in the realms of fine material form and in the immaterial forms, that's the 6th and 7th fetters. He eradicates conceit, which here means not the coarse conceit of pride, but the subtle conceit of an existing I. Then he cuts off restlessness, the fundamental agitation present in every mind that's not fully enlightened. And at last he eradicates ignorance, the most basic fetter. Following the path, he experiences the fruit of arhatship, and then he emerges as an arhat, an accomplished one, someone who's completed his training and lives in the experience of Nibbana. As an arhat, he's no more tied to the round of becoming, but he abides in peace through the rest of his days, and with his passing away, he attains the final goal, the Nibbana element, without residue remaining. And that is the consummation, the end of the path. Now we will conclude this talk with some practical instructions on meditation. Probably the most fundamental method of meditation taught in the Buddhist tradition is anapanasati, the mindfulness of breathing. This method is often taught to beginners, but it can also lead to all of the higher stages of the path, both in serenity and insight. It can even lead up to full enlightenment. In fact, it was the mindfulness of breathing meditation that was used by the Buddha on the night of his enlightenment. We can begin our explanation by saying some words about the right sitting position. Throughout the Buddhist tradition, meditation is practiced generally in the cross-legged posture, sitting on the floor. And even though this might cause some pain and discomfort at the beginning, it's advisable for those who are physically capable of it to try to use this method. It will probably take some time to get accustomed to it, but it will be worth the effort since it will be most valuable in the long run. It gives a firmness and stability